Chemical Depot, Public Affairs. This is Chuck speaking.
Public service or public relations?
I'm sorry, sir. Let me turn my volume up here a little bit so I can hear you better. Okay. I'm sorry.
So
What can I do for you, sir?
you answer questions for the public, all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, these are just like basically yeah, my family did a whole military thing or whatever, like grandpa army, dad army, uncle and his wife, 25 years each in the Navy. So basically it's like we grow up, we're Americans, right? And it's our duty to not allow tyranny across the globe. And that's how every American grows up, right?
Okay.
Yeah, right. So, you get the flag, you go in preschool, you do that, and then that's it. You're an American, okay? And then, you do your thing. So, anyway, I'm from the South, and the Bible Belt. You know where that is?
I do. What part of the South?
The death penalty capital of America.
I don't know where that is.
Oh, you remember back in 1850 where they had the slave trade and it all culminated on one spot? Like, if you look at a map, it all, like, leads to one spot. It's called the death penalty capital of America. Want to take another guess?
I have no idea.
Shreveport.
Alabama?
Shreveport. Architects. Shreveport.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah. So basically, you got different criminal elements, that they come through the port, with the slave trade. Okay, and then the free states, they was up there at the top, and you could tell that they came through Washington and all that stuff with the slave trade, and they infiltrated all of it, and most of the citizens in America are actually incarcerated along that route in the southern states, former Confederacy, where Americans were slaves. You know that, right?
Okay.
Okay, good. All right. Well, so anyways, so from down here we have a different perspective. Okay, like we see things going on. Of course there's news, and of course there's nonsense out there, and the problem is most people you talk to, they are so I guess they are so just man, they're talking about irrelevant nonsense. Okay, and I want to ask some serious questions, but you can't get a good answer, like a good military answer from a child or like a cat or a fish or a grandma or something like that. You're just not going to get a quality answer. So, I hope that, you might be able to answer this question. Do you remember, California, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The car fire, CARR with two R's. Do you remember that?
It was a few years back, right?
Yeah, it was a few years back. What did you think about that?
About the fire?
Yeah, there was 100,000 Americans displaced, or 10,000. There's like 10,000 or 100,000 Americans displaced in that fire, right?
Right. I don't know that much about it.
Actually, you know what? Actually, I think I did the math. It was equivalent to two Hiroshima citizen decimation amounts. I think it was like 10,000. 10,000 Americans lost their homes and stuff like that. Anyway, so I'm moving on. The fire. I don't understand like how we have fires like that. I really don't get it because I mean, don't you know, like, we got like 8,500 helicopters. Like, how does that work? Not being able to have water placed placed out there, strategically, because there's going to be fires, there's going to be communications needed to respond. How is it that there's those fires? I mean, fire's an enemy. It's an enemy to America, and like, if you really want to pursue, like, not destroying all the life in the forest, there could be a nature out there that could give us the next cure for Ebola or something, deep in the woods. We're still discovering stuff, insects, stuff like that, in the wildlife. All right, so like, how can a car fire, how can that much damage be done whenever it's called national security? Do you know what the definition of national security is?
Go
Okay, national security is basically well, I had my screen reader out earlier, but the Wikipedia definition is basically protecting America from anything domestic threats, from international corporations, from from uh, from natural disasters, from I mean, just all of that. From everything. You got to protect everything because you got to protect the food. They got to protect the food of the natural resources, the water, the infrastructure. You got to protect everything when it's national security. So basically, like, I don't understand how we have 8,500 helicopters, man. Like, how do we not have the ability to put a fire out? Like, how do we not have ability to first, like, we know that we have weather. We know that we have heat, and we know that the fire's going to spark up during certain times. I mean, it's not like a, hey, there's a wildfire and it's not like a dinosaur coming out the woodwork, man. We know what flame is, like, since caveman. You know what I mean? Like, for real. It's not like a spaceship descending from the sky and we're just like, oh my God, what's that? So like we know what fire is, and
it's on the states themselves to put a budget aside for that. So I hate to say it, but when it comes down to it, it's really all about money, right? Because it costs money to fly those helicopters. It costs money to pay the firefighters. It costs a heck of a lot of money to even get in there and do the mitigation. So before there's even fires, what they really need to do is get in there, let companies, cut down timber, and clear it out and thin out the woods a little bit. But that's
do you know Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm not trying to cut you off, but do you know what the economical toll after 10,000 Americans lose their life savings, everything's burnt to a crisp? Like, do you know the economical toll when that's allowed?
It's in the billions.
Huh?
It's in the billions. I know.
Yeah, like it's in the billions. It literally turns a state. You got 10,000 refugees. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Not only that, you got 10,000 refugees, but you're pushing them all against the coast, and you're destroying tourism. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're destroying everything. Like, say the Japanese people, they want to come over, see their allies. Say hey or whatever. But man, you got bums lined up all over the place, sitting in the streets. Fighting over the last needle in a trash can. And it just doesn't make any sense that they can't put out a fucking fire. Excuse my language, I'm not going to cuss. But it doesn't make any sense that they can't put out a fire whenever, like we have satellites. We could probably detect that there's heat. We could probably place carbon monoxide sensors, throughout the forest. Also, you could, I don't know, man, the first call that hits the station, send it directly to where the helicopters are. We could pre-place water, places, or have it to where, man, we could have like 10 diesels, just a little bit away from California. Drive it in, a bunch of water, just set up spray rigs on the first blaze that happens. Cut cross section, cut a little section around it, so it doesn't spread, destroy or remove the bad dry brush or whatever and contain it. I don't understand, because it just seems, it seems that there is like no legitimate or no acting national security. Like there's no, it's not sustainable national security. I don't know, policy. No, it's not an administration that's sustainable because this is what we're looking at in the South. We've got fire is one thing. Okay, how's Colorado? What do y'all have to deal with? Like wind, like tornadoes, right?
Not
Tornadoes.
so much in Colorado. Colorado's more wildfires, and the winds and stuff is more, and tornadoes is more central and eastern.
Well, so do y'all have to deal with a lot of poverty, like South, or like drugs, like drug trafficking? Or what do y'all deal with out there as Americans in Colorado? Like the main thing that y'all have to face.
Well, honestly, it's kind of the same thing every state has to face, right? So we've got our natural disasters, and then we've got, overpopulation in certain areas and the homeless numbers in certain areas. Colorado was one of the first states that legalized marijuana, so you've got a lot of folks that have come into the state for that. And things go progressive when it comes to, next bad drugs and stuff like that. But honestly, I think for the most part, we're pretty much on tap with every other state when it comes to all the things that we're dealing with.
Right. And that's
things
good.
that you were talking about with as far as national security and being able to take care of our infrastructure and our internal kind of needs like wildfire protection and mitigation and stuff like that. But it really is. It's not when the federal government steps in, it's usually as things are happening just to help, because the state itself has been overrun with emergencies. Like California will ask for assistance from the National Guard, which still belongs to California when it comes to wildfires, and if they still do it, then that's when they ask for federal assistance. But they have their own fleet of helicopters. They have their own fleet of aircraft that do the fire retardant drops. They've got I think the largest fleet of firefighters. Well, definitely in the country, but
wait a minute. So you're talking like FEMA and them, like FEMA, the one that the one that placed like what was that, like a 1,000 or 10,000 water bottles and stuff. There was a hurricane and they didn't put the water in the right spot, and they had a shitload of stuff just left over. They didn't even give it to anybody, and they just threw out a couple tarps on some houses or whatever. That you're talking about them people, what you mean by federal is like FEMA and all that stuff, right?
Right. So
oh my God.
The state gets to a point where it's at an emergency level and it can no longer take care of itself or sustain itself, and it needs the help of the federal government.
So the federal government is like, what the state would have to go to if they couldn't handle anything. So like Big Brother, right? Like you're saying?
Exactly. So it's for instance, those fires in California that you're talking about. So California there's always fires going on there, right? And so they only have a finite amount of money that they can put towards their firefighting operations, and so they can only hire so many firefighters. They can only move so many helicopters or planes, and then they bring in the National Guard to help augment the team that they have. And then even when the National Guard is in there, sometimes that's not enough. So they still call out to FEMA and say, "Hey, look, this is just way too much for us. Can the federal government help us out a little bit?" And then the federal government has another fleet of they're called MAPs. So it's C-130 aircraft that have like firefighting retardant system actually put in the back of it, so they can help. And then it frees up more money as well, so they can start paying more firefighters to bring them in for other states. So when it comes down to it, it really is. It's a state-run emergency management, and then once the states get to where they are overwhelmed with the federal government. So
okay, so all right. So for
there's
instance,
a lot that the states have to deal with.
Okay, so for instance, I'm looking at the economy of California. It says that they have a GDP of 3.133 trillion in 2019 and a growth of 3.4%. So basically, it means that they're increasing in money, right? So out of $3 trillion, man, I mean, I know just personally me, dude, I could go to the local scrapyard and I could fire or maybe in carbon monoxide or something like that. But I mean, I could have that stuff like patrolling the area, set it up to where like they would signal I guess command or whatever or a base, and let them know that there's a fire, there's a hot zone, or there's otherwise there's smoke or something like that. I know that, dude, I could probably take like $1,000, okay, and go to my local scrapyard, and just dig a bunch of stuff out. Maybe stop by because we're in the South, we're in a port, so we really gotta work with what we got. But with basic electronics, dude, make a few drones, and just have that shit out there like sentries, not have to hire the fire department, not have to do that or whatever, and, not have to run into 10,000 Americans losing all their shit, all their stuff, excuse my language. That's crazy. I mean, it's so crazy. It's insane, I guess you could say. Do you think any, God, do you think any other country would just purposely? I mean, I can understand if they're getting kickbacks, they're corrupt or whatever. Fine, whatever. Those are criminals, and that's technically a regime. It's not a government, and it's a criminal syndicate. If they're just making money, letting everything burn, that's what that is. But I mean, if would you think like China would just let their forbidden palace just go up in flames? All the pandas burning and trying to climb their little panda food or what? They eat those little canes or whatever. They don't want that shit happen in China, so why did we let it happen here? I mean, they'd put out a fire if they could, and that's the developing nation. See, I don't understand that. Like, okay, we have 8,500 helicopters. Other people don't even have that, but they wouldn't allow a pattern of fire. So like say you got in China, you got the Three Gorges dams, like that, because of crappy corruption and crappy building the dam, satellite imagery, it's crooked, it could flood a shitload of little villages or whatever. But, there's supposed to be corruption over there, and people are supposed to actually be poor, so, but they know it's coming, so...
Yeah, well, here's the deal. So there are a lot of fire towers. I grew up in Virginia, so I know that there's fire towers all around, so, and then just being down there. But when it comes down to it, when a fire happens, I think it's like 90% of fires that happen are from lightning strikes, right? So we can't predict when lightning is going to strike and start a fire. So it's one of those things. It's kind of, I hate to say it, it's reactive.
But we don't have visual. Like we can't see clouds.
Like the fighters and all that stuff ready. By that time, the fire moves pretty doggone fast. I don't know if you've ever seen a wildfire, but they will tear through acres in just a matter of minutes. And so by the time it takes to get all the assets that you need to fight that fire's already been, raging for a while. So they're constantly playing catch up and doing the best that they can. And honestly, I mean, there's some pretty talented firefighters and some fire science folks out there that know what's going to happen and can try to position the assets that they have. But when it comes down to it, if you look at most fire stations, they have 2 trucks, and then if you're out somewhere rural, there's fewer fire stations in between, and you got fewer trucks.
Okay. Yes, sir, I do get that, but I also, I know that we have 725 billion per annual budget in defense, spending, and we also have unacknowledged access projects, that are not revealed to the public. So we've got a lot of money, generated, doing other stuff. Okay, so 700 billion, and all their equipment and stuff like that. Really, 2 firefighters shouldn't have to go after a blaze. I mean, that's just crazy because, they're American too, right? I mean, I get like a state line, like I don't know, like is it with our military, is it like walking on a sidewalk, or you step on a line, you break around his back, and you just, have a phobia of getting over there and stopping that fire with, say, I don't know, deploy like 100 helicopters, drop a bunch of sand on it, have literal, trucks go out there. I see trains and stuff moving, moving Humvees and stuff like that, whatever. For really, like for what reason? I mean, who knows? But they're just moving around. They just move around like, it's just like I don't know, man, like kids at a train station or something. There's really no point. Okay, but I know that if there's a fire, put that military stuff, en route to do that, because there's a reason for that. There's no reason for having a couple firefighters battle out, a blaze whenever we got satellite imagery. Okay, first of all, we know that there's fires in California. We know there's fires. We know they're gonna happen. We know that if the temperature, and we can set out, since we know if the temperature gets to a certain point, okay, and the humidity in air drops, okay, like this is all statistics, man. Look, by now we have a level of computation. We have a level of computer computation, man. We've got D-wave quantum computing. We have that. I mean, it's not hard to do. It's not hard to figure it out, man, and be able to almost predict, where it's going to be when there's no moisture in the air, where there's smoke, with a couple sensors, man. Give me about $20,000, man. There would be a net over California. And you know what? And I don't understand, too, like, the border, okay? I'm not pro-immigration, not immigration. What I think, though, is, there's a bunch of wall that was up there for the people that are, for a border wall. But, how can, and then, you got journalists and stuff like that, who literally, you look it up online, crossing big ass spots, in the fence, which that's national security, okay? It's our perimeter, We got people getting kidnapped and stuff. Traffic, not only traffic here, but traffic out, okay? And we got drugs going back and forth on the border, and that border is so insecure. They made they did a video, okay, putting a Osama bin Laden mask on, and going across the border, and back and forth or whatever like that, and it was just, it's really kind of disconcerting. I think is the best word to use. I would use it a lot, disconcerting whenever we've got the vehicles to patrol it, and not have border agents out there like 2 or 3 running around like running around with some beat up vehicle that they got at auction, because their town is dying from economical collapse. You know what I mean, like in drug lords and stuff like that, gangs or whatever, because nobody protects the border. Nobody's doing like for a military and for a nation, nobody's doing national security. There is none, and that's what I'm really trying to figure out, because okay, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here listening to you.
Okay, well, all right, so like for instance, okay, 9/11, all right, everybody left that day. Wasn't nobody at the point in communications where they're supposed to be. NORAD, they can track Santa, but can't keep track of planes. I mean, that's crazy. It's lunacy, and it's so deliberate. It's so deliberate. It's like a doctor using a chainsaw.
Looking at other countries, threats from other countries coming in. There was no command that was looking at inside threats. So
wow.
Probably the month after 9/11 happened, that's when they created U.S. Northern Command.
But they knew it was going to happen.
Now that looks for internal threats and things that happen inside the U.S., where NORAD still looks at threats outside. So,
see, what I don't understand is, I don't know how the Wikipedia is, but, national security, I don't think that the definition has changed, from national security. I don't think it's meant anything different from, back whenever the Vikings were fighting the English, and the Scots and stuff like that. National security, I think it's pretty much the same thing, basically. So yeah, man. I mean, there was no there was the planes. of course, we got jets. We could scramble jets, but they were all misdirected. Playing war games or whatever. I mean, that's ridiculous. I don't understand that. And not only that, why, if, okay, say for instance you have a business, okay, or you have a church or anything like that that's supposed to handle things appropriately. You have a business, okay, and you got a worker, okay, that messes up. He don't know how to count money, or he doesn't care, or he spends it all, okay, on stupid apps on a mobile phone. The thing is, if you take that same guy, and you don't, and say he screws off, $50,000, you lose a whole department, you have to lay off 30 families, and you take that guy and you go stick him, over there in corporate, handling, a region like a Midwest or something like that, then it's your own fault, and it's so deliberate, it's so deliberate allowing that stuff to happen. It's kind of like, with the whole 9/11 thing. The people that were not at their the people that would have handled that, if we had a military, okay, like a legitimate one, and I'm not saying anything against you, I'm saying there's good servicemen, but if we had a structured national security policy for America that was let's say sustainable, and that was good for the nation, that was I say just correct, like it works. If we ever had that, or if anybody, ever wanted to make that, it would keep anybody from hitting the World Trade Centers. I mean, first of all, it's 2 towers. You know what I mean? It's 2 towers. All right. It's the World Trade Center, so pretty important, right? Like a high value target. Okay. I mean, dang, man. That's just so crazy. It's just so crazy that, and not only that, people there was someone who told everybody that it was going to happen years back, like what's happening now. So, they say that, what was that? The celebrity Fauci. He said that the CV-19 was going to come through. Whatever. They did the simulation, and then it happened. It's not like prophecy or nothing. It happened right after they said it would happen. Just like with the Trade Center. Right after they said it was going to happen. So I mean, it's okay to like say we didn't to have national security, okay, and a military, okay, with $700 billion. I mean, I'm not trying to complain. But, that covers the inside of the United States. Actually, more than anything, that covers Americans. Yeah, I know that we got like 1,000, but now like, do we have 8,000 bases abroad? I'm not sure. I don't think that's a bad thing. But also, we have Americans. You know what I'm saying? And we got to take care of that too, right?
Yes, we don't have nearly that many bases abroad. But the thing is, if you think about national security, yeah, we have to take care of Americans, but we also have to have our fingers out in the rest of the world as well. So so think about this. So when we do, like the military does, a humanitarian effort where they go to some country in South America or Africa or whatever for a couple months, and they take some doctors and they do goodwill and they build some houses or schools or whatever, or in Afghanistan as well, that's building the goodwill of the people there. So we're basically, as part of the national security strategy, is to make these people our friends, do good things for them, so they don't become the bad guys that want to come in and attack Americans. So yes, we need to take care of Americans on our own soil. That's absolutely true. But in order to do that as well, to keep us in the good graces of the rest of the world, we need to do those little outreach type things.
Okay, another thing also. Okay, so like for instance, we got Shreveport. Okay, and then we got Bossier's right beside it. It's Global Strike. Global Strike's there. I think third nuclear Trident or something. I'm sorry, dude. I'm tired and I've been stressed and I've been trying to work on national security actually myself, and pitch a few ideas here and there or whatever, because I know that citizens are really not doing well.